A Utah mother accused of killing 6 of her newborn babies and storing their bodies in her garage pleaded guilty to murder Thursday. Megan Huntsman, 39, faces up to life in prison on the charges. The deaths sent shockwaves through the quiet, mostly Mormon community where Huntsman stored the tiny bodies for more than a decade. Her estranged husband, Darren West, made the grisly discovery in April 2014 while he cleaned out a garage in the home they had shared in Pleasant Grove, Utah, a city of about 35,000 people, south of Salt Lake City. Authorities say a 7th baby found in her garage was stillborn. Huntsman told police she either strangled or suffocated the babies immediately after they were born. She wrapped their bodies in a towel or a shirt, put them in plastic bags, and then packed them inside boxes in the garage. Police say Huntsman killed the babies over a 10-year period from 1996 to 2006, during a period of her life when she told investigators she was addicted to methamphetamine and didn't want to care for the babies. DNA results have revealed that all 7 newborns were full-term and that West, her now estranged husband, was the biological father of the infants. West lived with her during the decade the babies were killed, but he is not considered a suspect in their deaths. West discovered the bodies shortly after he was released from a federal prison where he spent more than 8 years pleading guilty to meth charges. In her few brief court appearances, Huntsman has said very little. The day the babies were found, Huntsman told police that were 8 or 9 dead babies in her home, the search warrant affidavit shows. But police later concluded Huntsman was confused and was taking a ballpark guess. She pleaded guilty to 6 counts of murder Thursday while standing next to her attorney in court. Prosecutors had called it a unique case in both its heinousness and in the number of victims. One of the 6 babies found dead in the garage of Utah mom Megan Huntsman was covered in chemicals inside a container wrapped up with tape. Megan Huntsman, 39, was charged after her estranged husband found the dead body of an infant in their garage. Documents released Friday show one of the babies was covered in a chemical, possible iodine. Huntsman is charged with killing 6 newborns in Utah and faces 5 years to life on each count of felony murder. 6 of the 7 children were born alive and Huntsman has admitted to either strangling or suffocating them all, court documents say. Neighbors noticed she gained and lost weight through the years but never suspected that she was pregnant. Investigators do not believe the husband, who had just arrived home from prison, had any knowledge of the killings. Newly released documents show the body of at least 1 baby found in the garage of a Utah woman accused of killing 6 of her newborns over a decade was covered in a chemical that smelled like iodine. In addition, suspect Megan Huntsman told police in a phone conversation on the day the first body was found by her husband that the baby was stillborn and she had been afraid to go to the police or a hospital, the search warrant affidavit says. She didn't say why she was scared. Authorities also reported finding bloody leather gloves and women's underwear in the garage, and infant booties and clothes in the master bedroom. Police took stained sections of a mattress in the master bedroom as evidence. Police have said Darren West, the estranged husband of Huntsman, 39, found the first body after opening a small white box covered with electrician's tape on April 12. The documents released Friday state that West also told police he discovered the baby in a plastic bag with a strong chemical odor emanating from it. West said there was no decomposition smell, just a chemical odor. Police in Pleasant Grove discovered the 6 other dead babies after obtaining a search warrant for the house. They were in boxes throughout the garage, wrapped in shirts or towels, documents show. Huntsman later acknowledged that from 1996 to 2006, she strangled or suffocated 6 of the babies, put them in plastic bags, and packed them inside boxes in the garage south of Salt Lake City, separate court document states. Huntsman said 1 infant found in the garage was stillborn. Huntsman has been charged with 6 counts of first-degree murder. She has not entered a plea. Investigators say they know Huntsman's motive but declined to discuss it publicly. During a brief court appearance Monday in Provo, the shackled Huntsman mostly kept her eyes focused downward as she was informed of the charges. Defense attorney Doug Thompson told reporters afterward that he has spoken with Huntsman and she seemed fine, though he declined to provide details on her state of mind. Investigators believe West is the father of the babies. He lived with Huntsman during the decade the babies were killed and were in federal prison on drug charges from 2006 until January. Prosecutors said he is cooperating with the investigation and is not a suspect. Authorities are awaiting DNA testing to confirm Huntsman and West are the parents of the babies, and to determine the sex of the children. Their causes of death also remain uncertain. The FBI has been brought in to help because no labs in Utah can analyze the type of DNA taken from the small corpses, police said. Investigators are reconstructing a mysterious decade from Megan Huntsman's life as they try to figure out how she concealed 7 pregnancies before allegedly strangling or suffocating her newborns. Utah investigators are examining DNA from the babies to determine who the parents are, studying the bones to find out how long ago the babies died, and interrogating family members, and talking to neighbors in pursuit of clues about how she did it. They are trying to determine why she did it and who else, if anybody, knew about it or was involved. During the timeline she's given, she lived in the house with her now estranged husband and their 3 daughters. Huntsman, 39, acknowledged to police that she killed 6 of the babies, put them in plastic bags, and then packed them inside boxes in the garage of her home south of Salt Lake City for over a decade from 1996 to 2006. She told police one of the babies was stillborn. Huntsman, who was arrested Sunday on 6 counts of murder, was ordered held on $6 million bail, $1 million for each baby. She is due in court Monday for an arraignment. Investigators are done with initial interviews of family, friends, and neighbors and are digging into the evidence, Pleasant Grove Police Captain Mike Roberts said. They haven't ruled out doing more interviews or making more arrests. It is a slow, meticulous process, Roberts said. Huntsman's estranged husband, Darren West, made the discovery Saturday with fellow family members while cleaning out the garage of the house, which is owned by his parents. Police said they are trying to determine his knowledge or involvement. Many of the answers hinge on what the Utah State Medical Examiner finds out in its examinations of the 7 tiny bodies, which were found in various stages of decomposition in boxes that were on shelves and cabinets in the garage. Greg Hess, Pima County Chief Medical Examiner in southern Arizona, said forensic anthropologists should eventually be able to determine the sex of the babies based on the DNA results. They should also be able to determine if babies were full-term by examining the bones. But they probably won't be able to figure out if the babies were born alive unless one measures significantly bigger than a typical newborn or there are obvious signs of trauma that caused the death, Hess said. His office handles hundreds of bodies a year found in varying degrees of decomposition in the harsh Arizona desert. The inability to scientifically determine if the babies were born alive could be key later if defense attorneys argue that the babies were stillborn. Determining exactly how long ago the babies died will be challenging, Hess said. Unlike what is sometimes portrayed in movies and TV shows like CSI, forensic anthropologists cannot pinpoint the date and time precisely. Sometimes, the estimated time of death can span a 10 to 15-year window, Hess said. The older the remains, the larger the window is, Hess said. The more recent the remains, the tighter you can make the window. The question of whether Huntsman was using drugs during the pregnancies remains unanswered. Roberts declined to discuss what investigators have found out in this regard. Her husband, West, spent more than 8 years in federal prison after pleading guilty to possessing chemicals intended to be used in manufacturing methamphetamine. West was released from a federal prison in California in January and transferred to a halfway house in Salt Lake City. It will likely be very difficult for the medical examiner to shed any light on whether the babies had something wrong with him, Hess said, unless there was an odd skeletal abnormality. Studies to assess conditions such as Down syndrome are done on live tissue, he said. Neighbors have described Huntsman as a nice, quiet woman who was trusted to take care of children and generally seen as a good person. Police have been talking with many of them in search of clues. Next-door neighbor Sandy Wall said police asked her whether Huntsman looked pregnant if she was seen with other men and about a small trailer in the backyard. Wall told them she noticed weight fluctuations over the years but didn't notice any men coming and going or anything odd happening in the trailer.